If she doesn't settle down, I'll move her. This is an experiment. Okay, so, oh, good, there's Molly. Okay, so Molly, we have decided to table the minutes from June 20th in case people sent corrections to Elaine, and Elaine's not here. And I posted a library building committee design subcommittee for the purpose of approving minutes. So I sent out the June 14 minutes to that committee over the weekend. And Stephen gave me just two very small corrections. They were kind of typo things, which I corrected. So do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I motion that we approve the July 14th,
June 14th.
14th design subcommittee minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All righty. And so
Lauren
then,
has her hand up.
who has their hand up?
Lauren.
Sorry, I do.
Okay. All right.
Was that the one that I sent the corrections to?
Sent corrections to the June 20th meeting, and then today is the June 28th.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. So, okay, so then we'll just have a roll call vote. Dalmas
Dalmas, aye.
and Jeff.
Quackenbush, aye.
Okay, and I say aye. So those minutes are approved unanimously. And then today I sent out the June 28th meeting minutes. Lauren sent a couple of very small corrections. I once again spelt Monterey incorrectly. And I can't promise not to do that again. And then when in the part of the meeting where we were discussing the recommended heights for shelving for toddlers, Lauren had suggested putting the word recommended height instead of, I don't know what I had, but so I can make that correction. And then
You said I said they had to be.
right, and okay,
I
yes.
did not say that.
Okay, you just said it's recommended. Okay. And then Stephen, did you, I don't know if you had any
Yeah.
tiny changes? Okay,
The sentence that starts discussion about east side of the lot, then it goes on, the meadow has, I think you had has was, and I think that should be has been mowed.
okay, yes, that's right. Okay,
And then I was suggesting that further down where there was a statement, discussion about community conversations about community gardens. I was suggesting rather than have about twice that it be concerning community gardens, but that was just a suggestion.
right, okay,
Otherwise, they look fine.
all right. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept those minutes as amended?
I will make a motion that we accept the minutes from, what's the date again?
28th,
June 28th as amended.
I'll second.
okay. Okay, and so I'll just vote that I'm gonna vote to accept those minutes. I vote aye. How about you, Stephen?
Dalmas, aye.
Okay,
Quackenbush, aye.
okay. And that concludes that meeting. So thank you. So let's see, we still don't have our architects. I'm gonna look and see if there's an email from them. I don't see one. I'm gonna try emailing them.
I heard from Dominic today, and he did reference tonight's meeting, so
yes,
I
okay.
know they know about it.
Yeah. Oh, I know they know about it too. You know what I'll do is I will get the Zoom link and send it to them. But you all found it, right? So,
But we're experienced finders of Shutesbury meetings. It's a little confusing if you don't look at Shutesbury meetings all the time.
Yeah.
I have the calendar bookmarked on my toolbar, so I cannot lose it.
Good for you.
okay, well, I just sent them the link. And you know, Roger is here. So, or he was anyway. Yeah, Roger is here. He found it. So
You
Um,
didn't do a public comment period, so, they've been,
we-
they've
yes,
been hanging
okay.
around for 15 minutes at the start of all of our meetings, so.
Okay. So I'm gonna just grab the phone in case that is Odinzello. Okay, I'll be right back.
Mhm.
Okay, that wasn't Odinzello. Um, so I don't see any members of the public here. But we could, if anybody shows up, I mean, usually they're here in the beginning. Let me see if if I got a response to the email. No. So they maybe they ran late in another meeting, or something. Let's see, so we did minutes, we did the design committee minutes, and we decided to table the June 20th. And I don't really, have any other updates. So, so I think we'll just give them a minute. I can try texting them, but my phone doesn't really work at home. I'll go call him. How's that sound?
Good.
Let's see. Holler if they show up, okay?
Will do.
I'm gonna call from the other room. You just stay there. It's fine. Hi, it's Marianne. They're waiting for you to join the library. So just email me. So that didn't get us anywhere. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Well, there's a guest. But okay.
Mary Ann, do you want to share the 032 news with the rest of the committee that you just shared with the select board?
Sure. So, and Penny, you chime in if I miss any of the details, important details.
You did a great job at the select meeting.
Good. All right. So,
It's almost like you were there.
almost, okay. I've done so much. It was somewhat painful to not be there and also joyful to not be there because I
good.
knew what an excellent team was there. But so during the wetland delineation process, we being the wetland scientists discovered a pile of loam on top of a wetland in the area known as Bordering Vegetative Wetland 2 or BVW2, which is on the eastern boundary of the property. This pile of loam was there for a long time. It had trees growing in it, but it was on top of a wetland. And the best thing to do for the good of the environment is to remove that kind of thing. And then during the peer review process for the ANRAD, the wetland scientist hired by the Conservation Commission questioned the wetland boundary and BVW3. So because there was a wetland there that looks like, a tiny little pond or pool of water. And then there's a sort of a slope that goes up, and the wetland scientist questioned if that might be fill. This is an area where the town had done some previous removal of household debris back in 2021. So the town and the Conservation Commission didn't agree on a wetland line then at that time. And we wanted to do some and for the good of the environment, if there was fill there, the right thing to do with fill on top of a wetland is to remove it. So Penny did a tremendous amount of work. She reviewed the order of conditions that the Conservation Commission created and made sure many of the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. She ordered the plants and drove to South Hadley to pick them up. And then April Dorosky, who's the wetland scientist for Fuss and O'Neill, supervised the project. Penny managed it on behalf of the town, leading up to it in that day because I was on vacation. And then April supervised it to make sure that the erosion controls were properly installed. Penny also checked that, and that that the work was done properly and to her specifications. And she's an environmental scientist, and she was also on alert to watch for environmental conditions that would warrant contacting a licensed site professional who we had on call. And so the work at BVW2 was pretty straightforward. Remove the trees, remove the stumps, load it all into a dump truck, remove the loam, and then cart it away and dispose of it properly. And then they planted some small trees and some small bushes and some small, I saw some starts of ferns, and then there's a wetland area seed mix that's been planted that hasn't germinated yet, but it really looks fantastic. I went and saw it last week and I was so pleased. There's nothing prettier than a new garden. And then over at BVW3, the highway department, following April's instructions, carefully excavated so that April could record the soil conditions, and they found that it wasn't fill, and the wetland line, while it did move a foot or two, April will give us the exact dimensions in her report. They didn't find that wetlands had been filled in, and then they planted some blueberry bushes along that edge. And then Penny and whoever else was there that day, Becky and the highway department, they did find some small household debris that's strewn about, and they picked it up in both areas and they filled 2 trash bags. So anyway, I was really, Penny sent me pictures at the end of the day. And then I was quite pleased to come back and see it in person. And I invite you all to go and have a look at this lovely little environmental improvement project that the town has completed. And so that is one thing. And then the other report that I gave to the select board is that back in the spring, Rita Farrell, who's the chair of the select board, and Becky and I, and our LSP and representatives from our congressional delegation met with the United States Army Corps of Engineers to ask them to revisit the contamination at the site of the former Air Force radio tower. And so they have reopened the case, and they have now assigned a project manager, and they are going to be taking over the management of that site through the Massachusetts contingency plan. So they'll be responsible for further monitoring and remediation. The federal procurement process is painstaking, and it's going to take several months for them to go through it, but they've started going through that process so that they can bring an LSP on board. And Rita and Becky and I will be monitoring that process and working closely with the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that that everything moves along. Let's see. Okay, so Matt says he doesn't have a meeting in his calendar for tonight. So let's look at this. So at our meeting last week, I thought it was very clear, and I watched the recording of that meeting again today. So they're not coming. Lauren, should I share the presentation that they sent and we can discuss it as a committee? I think that would work. Will that work with you?
Sure, and I can share there were 4 comments that I sent to Dominic earlier today.
All righty. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, so we somehow had a miscommunication about that. So let me, I don't think I downloaded that on this computer. So I'm gonna do that first. Okay.
I do have it if you'd like me to share my screen.
Okay, I have it, or just about have it. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna try it. And I sent it to everyone. So this is the exterior. So maybe, let's see. So a lot of this is really very detailed. I'm going to go to the site plan. And this is a draft of the site plan. And Jefferson, do either of you feel like sort of describing this site plan to the rest of the committee? Or do you want me to do it? I guess I'll just do it. Let's see. So they move the building closer. The roadway is it's hard for me to describe this site plan. I mean, when we discussed this last week, it's a single loop roadway where people drive in, go around the loop, and then drive back out. It looks to me like this area on the eastern side is possibly like a reinforced area for some overflow parking. That was a big part of our discussion last week, that there should be some area off the side of the road for overflow parking when we have higher capacity in the library. On the, and so it looks like there are 12 dedicated parking spaces. And a simple walkway that goes around the perimeter of the building. There's an area in the front of the building that looks like a giant sort of amoeba. That's sort of a bioswale area that's dotted to manage stormwater runoff. The septic system is in the same location, although they expect it to be slightly smaller. Does anybody have any questions about this?
You probably won't be able to answer this, but one of the things I wondered about with all the flooding that's going on right now, if that bioswale fills up with water, where does the excess water go?
Right. Right. And
And
I think
typically-
that'll be a
Yeah.
question we can ask them. I mean, I don't know that we have any flooding in Shutesbury, but I think we'll have to, you know, have those kinds of, like, we should be planning for climate resiliency in the face of climate change in our site plan for this
Mm.
library.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, I mean, Fuss and O'Neill is the civil engineer, and they certainly are aware of climate change need. And then Stimson Associates seems to be really for too, but we'll ask
Well,
that question.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
the two firms realize we don't have a sewer system.
Right.
Which is what you would normally tie this into.
Right, right. We should, well,
That's
I'll
all.
make a point of telling them.
Okay,
Um, okay,
but other than that, it's what we talked about before, the layout.
okay,
On the site plan, Mary Ann, that area on the east that's kind of light gray along the roadway,
Mhm.
that's listed in their index as gravel shoulder.
Okay,
And then,
yeah,
you know, the area that starts thin in front of the building and then runs all the way down towards Leverett Road and gets fatter, that's just listed as planting area.
okay,
There's nothing
Okay.
that clearly is talking about the bioswale at this point, although I think that's going to be what that is.
yeah, but Greg did say that last week, so,
Right.
yes, good. And so like that was there last week, but the gravel shoulder is new. And that was in response to our conversation.
Right.
And that looks pretty long, which is nice. So
Right.
I'll go on to the next slide. Lauren, do you think this is the site plan? Let me look. The closest to the floor plan.
There's one farther down that has the furniture on it that I think
Okay,
is more
okay.
better to talk about.
Oh, so look at this. Do you see on this one how, so the roof is now asymmetrical? So when they were having conversations with their, and Jeff and Steven jump in, so they were having conversations with their structural engineer, and their structural engineer said when the roof was a symmetrical gable, they said that there would have to be steel cable ties that connected to either side and then connected to the structure of the roof to provide structural support for the building. And so that would have an aesthetic effect on the interior of the building. These things would be visible, and it would be more expensive because it involved bringing in a different type, you know, a whole different type of trades person to design and construct and install those things. So a solution that they suggested was having a slightly different, an asymmetrical pitch to the gable, where the eastern side is longer and the eastern side is shorter and the western side is longer. And so then the ridge falls on a
on the
wall that
building wall.
runs down the center of the building. And it ends up changing how much solar will be on each side, but it's still going to be adequate solar coverage. And we meaning the design subcommittee, didn't mind the asymmetrical gable. We thought it actually added character to the building in different ways. And that was just a good way to see it. So I'm going to keep going down and find, here we
There you
go.
go.
So this is the floor plan with the furniture. And so Lauren asked if there was acoustical separation between the book drop room and the meeting room. And Dominic answered that there is. And so the changes that they made based on our previous meeting was sort of moving they had the book drop room going into that closet in the meeting room. And I just thought the book drop would end up getting access to it, would end up getting covered by things stored in the closet. So they moved the kitchen down slightly. So the kitchen is really just going to be almost like a closet itself. And then that's the book drop room.
Excuse me, Mary Ann,
yeah.
is it possible for you to click the plus sign on there, and make it a little bigger on where it says 33% up there on that black bar? Yeah, can you, yeah, with that, oh, whoa, okay, that went, oh, okay, cool, thank you.
Right, there's 33. And there's 50.
Now,
Can
yeah,
you-
just slide it up and down, yeah, and sideways, there you go, sideways.
Oh, here we go, sideways.
Ooh,
Too much. Stupid thing. Here we go. There we go. That's it.
thank you very
Okay.
much. That's
All
much
right.
better.
So let's see. In our meeting last week, they told us that they had bumped out, they were concerned about the amount of space between the circulation desk and the teen room. So they bumped out the staff workroom by a foot. The MBLC, both last weekend and then today in Lauren's comments, said that they're concerned that there's very little storage in this plan. So I asked for storage on that back wall of the staff workroom instead of glazing, maybe with clerestory windows at the top. And this is still a plan in development, and those are things that we can clarify during the design phase. Let's see. And then so Lauren, the suggested, so they've got 5 shelf high. I can't see. Are they all 5 shelf high around the children's room? You had a comment.
They are, they're all 5 high. around
They're
the
all
perimeter.
5, but the 2 small, so there's a little section, so there's a table with 4 chairs and then a table with 2 chairs that looks like a computer table. And then a section of little mobile sort of picture book bins there. And then there's another one in this other nook. And so I think they're thinking of those as shorter shelving. And then they've talked about coming from the let's see. So the staff workroom, the teen, I don't know which is east and west, but the top of the plan, there's sort of a darker line. And I think they have that as kind of like a bench. And I think during design, we're just going to make sure that there's enough shelving so that we can have our materials for our smallest patrons accessible to them and shelved nicely. I don't know that we need a bench that long. And what was your other comment, Lauren? You have one other comment.
Yeah, my other comment is the fact that the telecom server room opens out of the janitor's closet, which
Right.
I find very, very problematic. I think they can rework those
Yes.
3 spaces so you can get to it from the staff workroom.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's good. And then Elaine sent a comment. She was concerned. So Jeff had brought up the amount of windows and the very high windows during our meeting last week. And I'm gonna see, I'm gonna scroll down and see it. No, they don't have that. Oh, I know, maybe it's because it's too big. No, this is 18 of 18. Okay, so they had an interior view, which was in the presentation, which I'm pretty sure I sent to all of you. And we'll get it posted on the website. But over the door in the community meeting room, there's a window, a very large piece of glass that extends all the way to the ceiling. And you
You can
know,
see
it,
on, you can
Yeah.
see it on the building elevations.
right, right. I'll go back and so Jeff had just suggested that that he wasn't going to be the one to clean those, and I didn't know who it was going to be. And so I brought that up again today, and you know, and asked if, you know, since we've already expressed, so you can see it here on where it says building, so on the
Keep
right
going.
side of the screen. I can see it here. Can you see it, Jeff? Or can you
Yeah,
see it better in a
there's-
different, okay,
There's a
Is it
better
better?
drawing.
okay.
Keep going.
There you go.
There you go. South
Uh,
elevation.
Okay, alrighty. So, you know, so Jeff suggested we maybe don't need that window all the way to the ceiling above the door. And, but I don't think that's gonna have a dramatic effect on the cost estimate. Does anybody think it's gonna have a dramatic effect on the cost estimate?
No,
No,
no.
so,
And
but,
I just asked them to, you know, analyze
right,
where we have glass, where we don't, how big the panes are.
okay.
And
Okay.
that's DD type stuff.
Right, right. So those are things, these are just the conversations that we've had. So does anybody want me to slide to any other?
I have a few questions which I
Okay.
couldn't figure out. I don't really, when we go to the wall section, keep going
Which
down.
is
Well, no, the other
this
way.
Okay,
No, they don't have the structural drawing in here, and I'm a little confused as to, keep going. How
oh,
they're
here we
structured.
go.
Yeah, go one more.
Okay,
There's a wall
Steve,
section in there.
He wants a wall section, not a building section. There you go.
okay, there we go.
Mm.
All right.
I'm a little
Okay.
confused as to what is the structural system for the roof? Because they make comment in here about glue lamb beams, but then they also have 2x rafters, so they say, look at the structural drawings, but there's no structural drawings.
Okay.
So it'll be
Okay.
interesting someday to be able to compare that,
Okay.
because at the moment, I'm not understanding the structural system to my satisfaction.
And so when we have a meeting with them, we can bring that up.
Well, hopefully they give the cost estimator a structural drawing, because
Well, and when they send out the complete, I'm gonna write that down and just say, so you have a question about the structural,
the roof framing. Because Matt also talked at one time about steel columns.
right,
Are we doing steel columns or not? There's nothing in these drawings that tells anybody.
right, right. And I do think they were moving away from steel columns, but okay.
I thought the steel columns were before they reduced the building in width. So before we move this plan.
Could be,
I thought
yeah,
that
could
was
be.
one of the options. Do you have other questions or thoughts, Jeff? Because I have a number of things.
Well, I was also wondering if they've talked to their structural guy about using scissor trusses for the open areas as opposed to glue lam and 2x. But again, we can't tell from these drawings. So, you know, I think once we get a structural drawing, that maybe would help us.
Right. Okay,
But if this is the set to go to the cost estimator, I don't know what it is they're pricing.
It's
okay, and
not
there might,
consistent.
there might be more, since this is a draft, there might be more that they're working on that, because they were sending stuff to their cost estimator tomorrow, so I will ask them these questions and then see if they can send us those. I mean, they're gonna send us the complete pricing set once it's ready. Lauren, you had your hand up?
No, I was just gonna say that we need to make sure that they hear these questions before it goes out for the pricing.
Yeah, I'm gonna email the questions tonight, so.
And the only other issue, well, a couple other issues, but one, am a little confused which exterior wall section is the one they're going with. They seem to not be the same.
You mean
Is that
A1A?
these?
Well, if you compare that to what's on the drawing before, they're not the same. Or that other bigger walls, that one.
This one?
So,
Okay.
which one- I know they're looking for alternates for the outside material, but the rest of it isn't exactly the same sort of. Again, what's the cost estimate or pricing?
Okay.
And I guess my last question is if you could go to those building sections,
Are they
Yeah.
up or down?
there you go, stop. Okay, so move the drawing up a little bit. So you see those dark gray areas above the ceiling,
Um,
that big
Yeah.
gray box.
yeah,
So is that a heated space? Or is that a non-heated space? Because it runs the length of the building.
I think
And
that's
if
the
that-
mechanical attic space, but I
Yeah,
don't
but if-
know whether it's conditioned or not.
Right, because I'm wondering, are we going to condition all that area? Even though we can't store anything up there? Because if you go to the other building sections looking the other way, which would be drawing, looks like A405 maybe?
up
The
or
other building
down.
section. I don't know
Yeah.
which way is it. Keep going. Okay, there's a good one. So
Right.
look at the left, section EW2. See all that area that's gray?
Right,
That's the way I'm interpreting it, that's space that we cannot use. But we may be heating it and cooling it. Because they're saying the ceilings sometimes are drywall and sometimes they're just acoustic ceiling tile. So again, is that all conditioned, unconditioned? That's a lot of area. That's a lot of
that's-
volume.
I see your question, Jeff. You're saying it's space within the thermal envelope of the roof and the walls. But
Exactly.
it's not
But it's not-
conditioned space that's ventilated for occupancy. It's mechanical or attic space.
Well, I don't think it can be, well, it's non-usable space.
Non-usable, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what the tone is indicating, that it's not usable space, whereas I think the other section, they had talked in the past about those areas being where mechanical equipment would be.
Right. Which again is non-usable space.
Yeah,
Because I assume if we were to store stuff up there, then we'd have to sprinkler and we'd be back to that game again. We
mhm,
don't want to go there.
yeah.
So.
But I think
we
what
just
this
have to-
does is it gets the mechanical space out of the square footage calculation.
But if you looked at like the second or third drawing and it shows you the plan of what they call, I'm gonna call the attic space, it's a lot of area. Keep going back towards the original first drawing. Head that direction. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I think it's one more. Yep, next one. I think that'll do it. There you go. So all that stuff that's in gray is, I think, heated but not usable space
And why is it heated?
because it's sitting inside the thermal envelope.
Okay.
How's that for a non-answer?
Well, isn't that, I mean, unless you purposely put registers for supply into that space, it's quote heated by some convection through the, say, the ceilings and into that space. So it wouldn't be heated like the functional spaces that people are in.
Well, it could be or couldn't be. That's what I want them to tell me. What's happening up there?
Do you have anything else, Jeff?
No, I think that those are the main ones.
Okay, a couple things that I would suggest. One is this pricing set only has one roof option, the metal roof, which personally I think would be my preference because it's going to last a very long time. You can mount the solar on it onto the standing seams, so there are no penetrations, and I think it's a more attractive looking roof. But I think we should have an alternate for asphalt shingles.
Boy, I disagree. I disagree because the quality of asphalt shingles today is so bad that you can't get 25 years out of an asphalt roof without issues. And I just don't want to see that. You know, I've got less than a 10-year-old roof on my own house that I'm very disappointed in. And I don't want to see that on a library. So there's no way that I'm going to support asphalt shingles. I'll just throw that out there. I'm not going to do it.
I thought
Yeah.
we had a discussion about this, I think, last time. They also didn't want to go with asphalt because of all the mechanical attachments of the solar system. Would be lots of penetrations through the roof. And they thought this, and I agree with them, I think this is a better solution.
Well, I totally agree with them. But I think, you know, if we are at a point where we have to cut more fat, so to speak, I think it would be prudent just to have the estimate include asphalt shingles as an alternate. I'm not,
No, I don't have an issue with getting a number, but
Right.
I think I would have an issue with actually going with asphalt.
Right.
well, I agree too, but I think, you know, that would be worth having that as an alternate. If we go to the large section, building, you know, the exterior wall, that's sheet A5. It's the other way, it's pretty far down.
Way or the other way?
Towards
No, down.
the back side of the end of the drawings. It's like 2/3 of the way down.
Okay, there you
There you
go.
go. There you go.
If we can hear you, we all get pizza too, Jeff.
All right, so in that wall section, which is a 2x8, they show 3.5-inch fiberglass bats. I don't understand. I mean, if they were here, the question would be, why isn't that cavity full of insulation?
And
That
I
would
know the answer. I've got the answer.
Okay, what's the answer?
Because if you read about the latest building sciences, you do not want to make the outside of the sheathing in the wintertime so cold that you're going to get condensation, which would then create water. So you insulate on the outside like they're doing with rigid, which helps to keep the outside of the sheathing warm, so you don't over insulate on the inside. You've got to keep that outside sheathing above the dew point. So that's why they don't fill it full, the cavity full of insulation. You got to be concerned about the dew point level around here, and especially in the wintertime.
Okay, well, the reading
You ever
I,
hear, there's a company called Building Science Corporation, BSC. You may want to, they're out of Boston, and they're really experts in this stuff, and you may want to Google them. They've got a really good book on explaining all this stuff, and they would do a much better job than I just did. But you may want to peruse that.
okay. Well, I still,
Marianne, could you slide the drawing a little to the right so we can see the bubbles? Or writing, whatever, thank you.
In text.
okay, well, my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, was that you can still insulate the wall cavity full, but then by putting the rigid insulation on the outside, you prevent a dew point condition. So I'll check that out a little. But second, I question the use of fiberglass as opposed to something like dense packed cellulose. Dense packed
I agree.
cellulose is much greener. If we're trying to build a quote, green or building, that's one way to do it. But also the thermal efficiency of fiberglass tends to fall off quite a bit once it gets to freezing temperatures, and it doesn't handle temperature extremes and fluctuations well, fiberglass, whereas the dense packed cellulose does. There are pros and cons to every insulation, but I think minimally there should be a alternate for using dense packed cellulose as opposed to the fiberglass.
Yeah, Marianne, could you scroll down a little bit further on the drawing? Maybe there's some more notes that identify the materials.
One thing that I'd like to say about this concerning
Thank you.
insulation, Stephen, I know that you're very concerned about it, but Shutesbury is a stretch code community. And as such, that means Shutesbury has to be at the very forefront of all the insulation stuff. And a lot, we may not even get a chance to decide what the insulation is going to be on this building. It might be dictated. But the thing that I think that you should be aware of, that as a stretch code community, we're not going to fall short on insulation. It just can't happen. So I think that basically what we're seeing with these drawings is file drawings of, some sort or another. I mean, that's why I think they've tried to apply some drawings that they have to this instance, and they don't all fit, which is why it's not consistent, which is, the point that Jeff has made and Stephen as well. So, I mean, this whole stuff has to be fleshed out a good deal more. But they've given us something to look at, and we picked it apart probably a little further than what they probably might be comfortable with. But anyhow, I think that's the story with that.
Yeah, and we'll nail this down in DD.
Well, I think, since we're going for another estimate, my opinion, it's worth having some of these things as we'll say alternates. For instance, the dense packed cellulose is more expensive than the fiberglass to install. And the other thing I was looking at, and I think that, Dale, if the stretch code requires say more insulation, then obviously it'll be something that'll have to be added. And, but if their drawings don't show any of that, that's what's going out for an estimate right now. I also was thinking, if you go back to the top of this detail, Mary Ann.
I don't know what happened. I'm working on it.
Okay, well, they show 5 inches of rigid polyisocyanate or something like that for insulation. And that gets you a R30 value. If you go with 2 layers that's 7 inches, that gets you an R40 value
Which way are we going, Stephen?
to the roof of
The
this.
roof.
So just,
There you go.
okay,
There you go.
where you can see, it talks about the 5 inches of the rigid. And, I obviously don't know what the stretch code says, but again, I would get an alternate for doing the 7 inches, which gives you an R40. And then I had some questions. Maybe you know some of these answers, Jeff, on I think it's sheet A1.11. It's one of the very first ones up near the top, Mary Ann, where it shows a plan and the floor surfaces.
Oh, it must be further down.
Yeah, if you can see the drawing information at the right edge of the drawing, it's sheet A1.11.
Okay,
You have a page number for that, Stephen?
That's it, sheet A1.11. You're going the wrong way, Mary Ann.
okay.
I
And
think
then
maybe-
shift to the right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Are you looking for a floor plan?
the one that shows the flooring materials.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Okay, A1.01, okay. All righty.
Hold it.
I think you
Oh,
just passed it.
Right there.
Okay, so if you're looking at that, one area is Tarket linoleum. I think that's the meeting room, the lobby, the reception, and the circulation desk. Or
Okay. Is this the? Yeah, okay, all right. All right, this is the floor finish. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
so
Right.
Tarket linoleum, I assume that's a manufacturer. But then the
Yeah,
other option
manufacturer.
is finished retro plate concrete. Do you know what that is, Jeff?
I have no idea. I saw that too, and I don't know what that means.
Okay, so that's,
Roger, do you know what that means?
I'm sorry?
I was asking Roger, do you know what that means? I'm not familiar with those terms.
I'm not either.
I know they've talked about polished concrete.
Concrete, which could be
They
what it
have,
is. Does it say what rooms it's in?
it's the meeting room, the lobby, the reception, and the
Receptionist.
circulation desk.
Hmm.
That's the finished concrete or that's the linoleum?
It's either or. It's the
Yeah.
Target linoleum or
Yeah.
finished retro plate concrete. Hang on a sec, let me look at,
I was just assuming that's some kind of a polished concrete,
Yeah.
now,
but I'm not,
think-
I'm not familiar with the terms.
well, they have a steel troweled concrete with slip resistant sealer. I'm not sure exactly where that is. Okay, but so there's that, and then in the entry vestibule, that's Great Grid Pressed into Slab. Anybody know that one?
I
think
don't know what, I saw that and I was thinking that's stamped concrete.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised they would want stamped concrete there.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one is,
Actually, Google is saying that retroplate concrete is chemically hardened.
okay. And then how about, then they have for the teen room. That looks like the teen room, the adults, the children's, the staff workroom, Target Power Board. Anybody know
I don't know.
Target Power Board?
I don't know. it
Don't know what
doesn't
that
sound
is
good.
either.
Okay, all right.
Well, let's find out.
So, yeah. All right.
I was assuming that was carpet just based on the acronym or the shortened part that they were using for it.
I thought so too, Molly.
Okay, well, that would make sense.
I can read you what it is. It's a hybrid resilient sheet flooring, heterogeneous construction of nylon enclosed cell something, and it goes on. So it sounds finally, doesn't it? Some kind of sheet flooring.
Good question. Okay. All right, those are the things that yeah, those are all my comments.
Yeah, on the Target website, it says it's a resilient / carpet hybrid,
Interesting.
whatever that is.
I don't
Yeah.
understand those terms.
I do know what that is, actually. That's a product, they have it in the Weymouth Library and they really like it. It's a surface that is literally a hybrid between carpet and resilient floor. You can wash it like you do linoleum. And you can vacuum it like you do carpet. It's
Does
it's a
it look more
new
like
thing.
carpet or does it look more like linoleum?
It looks kind of like flocked wallpaper, but not that cheesy, really.
I'm not familiar with that product. Okay.
On their website, it kind of looks like carpet tile, but maybe it's like thinner or something. I don't know. It also says that it is asthma and allergy friendly.
Yeah, it's fuzzy. It's fuzzy, like, I don't know, velveteen maybe, if you know what that is.
So it would have some acoustic
Yes,
sound deadening properties.
yes, exactly.
Is it a carpet, is it a carpet tile, or is it a sheet? Like you put it down like a sheet?
That I'm not
Okay.
sure about. I don't remember.
Because I'm kind of wondering if down the road, I like carpet tiles because you can replace carpet tiles that get soiled and damaged.
I agree, as long as you order enough. It looks like it's both. It looks like it comes in plank, roll, or tile.
Okay. Because we may want to keep in mind that we're gonna have to fix this building periodically and refresh it. And we should make maybe some of the right decisions at the beginning.
I've put carpet tile down in a number of places and I have never bought enough extra squares ever.
Mhm.
Even when I know that I haven't and I'm very conscious about buying enough, I do not.
Hmm.
It's hard to, we need to replace
Yeah.
them more than we should.
Okay, you won't be on that committee.
And it's inevitable that when you go to buy more, it's been discontinued.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so this is the draft of the pricing set, Mary Ann? And then they're gonna
Sorry.
issue,
Yes,
this is the draft of the Mary Ann. So
Yes.
the real pricing set gets sent when, tomorrow?
yes, that's the goal. The goal is that the pricing set gets sent tomorrow. And so hopefully they'll do that. Uh, you know, and so that it doesn't delay. Um, and I've been taking notes and I'll send them. Sorry, Doug, I can't figure out how to, I'm gonna stop sharing so that I can mute. Well, I don't want to mute myself if I'm talking. So, so, you know, hopefully they'll get it out tomorrow. So that they can, so that it doesn't delay us getting that information back. I don't feel like we have that many questions.
No.
No.
And then we're all gonna get a copy of that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Great. That sounds good. I don't have any other comments.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
No,
No?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Anybody want to second that?
When would you meet again? In 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. We'll meet
Okay.
again.
Who made the
Well,
motion?
after the cost estimate, right?
So the cost estimate, we actually don't expect the cost estimate. Well, let me just look. Matt said when he had a meeting on his in that email he just sent me. I thought our next meeting was to review the cost estimate in 2 weeks. So, so the cost estimate is due. If they send it out tomorrow, they expect it back by the 26th. So do we want to have our next meeting August 1st, which gives that cost estimate time to get back and then a few days for them to digest it?
Yes.
Yes,
Everybody else, Tuesday, August 1st?
yes.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. 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 So let's see. So Dale made a motion to adjourn. Does anybody want to
I'll
second it?
second, I'll second.
Okay, Jeff seconded it. And I think I'm just gonna do, everybody raise their hand if they say aye.
And
I said I was gonna just wing it. Okay, Penny, I see your hand raised. So, okay, so I saw all hands raised. So, so the meeting is adjourned at 8:09 PM.
so
Okay.
we have a design subcommittee meeting before the next.
I don't think so. I think we'll wait for the cost estimate and then
Okay.
schedule that.
Sounds.
Okay.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay, great. Okay. Roger, can you stay on? Oh, or is he gone already? He's gone already.
I'm right
Oh,
here. Yep.
oh, you're right there. Okay, can you stay on after everybody else goes?
Certainly. Yeah.
Great. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
How are your notes, Roger? Did you take notes?
I took some notes, yes.
Yeah, can you
Yes.
email them to me? Are
Sure.
are they more technical than I would have been able to?
They're a bit more topical rather
Okay.
than verbatim, but
Okay,
I can,
okay. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that, like Lauren said, I mean, I'm thinking about taking the recording and because this meeting was recorded and and just sending them the recording and asking them to watch the recording so that they get all the different questions. What do you think of
oh,
that?
yeah, that would be fine. That would be the best way to do it.
Right,
And-
okay, all right,
and-
that's
and-
what I'm gonna do instead of, like when Jeff and Steven get going, they get more technical, they
Oh,
get,
yeah,
right.
Right.
And so, okay, I'm gonna do that. I mean, it's only an hour. They can watch the
Right.
meeting
they'll
before
get
they
the
send
most
off.
out of it that way, because
Okay, all right.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
all right, okay,
And
good, all right.
I got
okay.
your email and Lauren's last week with a very abbreviated set.
Okay,
I didn't get what we were talking about tonight.
oh, I'll send it to you.
If-
Okay.
And then I'll get the
I
next one
thought
in a couple
that,
of days.
yeah, I thought that when Odin's Ello sent it out yesterday that they include, I thought I saw you and Neil on the list. I will send it to you right now, okay?
Yeah, same
and,
again, because,
okay.
we
Yeah.
have our firewall system, and sometimes
Yes.
it seems to remember who
Okay.
you said aloud, and then other times it
Right.
goes
Okay,
up the next day as,
okay, yeah, okay,
but yeah, I saw that one from yesterday, but I remember at the last meeting, we talked about not having it on the 4th, that we would have it on the 11th.
uh-huh,
And
yes.
I signed up for the My Town notifications.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
okay,
how I get the
Okay, all right, good, that's
The
good.
notes.
Okay, yes, okay,
because My
good,
Town uses that also,
yeah,
which
it's a
I've
good
heard
system.
is getting merged into something else that's
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised, but
not going
a-
away, but getting merged into something that's maybe a little better, but
right.
you get used
I
to
think
it.
it's, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It kind of takes I think it's, well, like before I would just send the town clerk an email to
Yeah.
post a thing, and this is a few extra steps, but it's really not that big a deal.
It's
And,
not.
yeah, it's not, it's fine. And then it's good. And then people can sign up and then it just makes it, publicly accessible. So,
Yes.
okay, good. Okay. Good. All right. Well, I agree. I'm gonna, actually stop the recording.
Yeah, and they can skip to the questions, the discussion rather than
Right.
presenting
Yes.
what they sent us, discussing it. They can go right